Well, good morning, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Valerie. How are you?
Doing good. Still in quarantine pretty much over here. We're getting a little stir crazy, but things are going great.
Yeah, no, likewise. We're in Seattle, and luckily for us, summer doesn't start until usually after the 4th of July. So we don't feel like we're missing anything, but still locked down here as well.
So Dan, you are the head of partnerships and marketing at Gravity Legal, which is a part of a bigger group of Gravity Payments. So tell me a little bit about your background, how this all plays together, and how you got here.
Sure. So I am a technology attorney by training. I actually worked as a paralegal and then subsequently as outside counsel for Microsoft. So that was kind of where I got my tech chops. About 5 years ago, I transitioned more into kind of this law and technology ecosystem. I worked for the online legal marketplace Avo, and then for the last little while, I've been working with other small legal technology companies who are either connecting lawyers and clients or selling technology to clients. And Gravity Payments, as you mentioned, which is the kind of parent company of our endeavor, is based here in Seattle, a fairly large and well-known payment processor. And they handling payments and kind of invoicing for a wide swath of businesses. They actually went to go pay their outside counsel who sent them an invoice and a payment link. And they looked, this is a number of years ago, they looked at it and said, wow, if this is the state of the art in legal payments, and we know payments, we think there's a really interesting opportunity here. And so they began a process of kind of breaking off a small team to work on this project in specific, and then came to me a few months ago and asked me to get involved, and the rest is history. So we do payment processing and money management for lawyers and law firms.
Great. And so as you say that this was a painful process for them, what were they experiencing? What are these direct problems that you guys are helping solve for both attorneys as in relation to our community, these solo practitioners or small firms, and then also for their end clients?
For sure. So I think one of the biggest opportunities that we see in this space is around trust accounting. Lawyers generally struggle with collections and often leave a lot of money on the table for a wide variety of reasons. And the crazy thing is, we have a built-in system that helps lawyers improve their collections and get paid more often, and it's called a trust account. But a lot of lawyers avoid using them because of the regulatory issues or the onerous challenges around kind of moving money to them or between them. And so even just as we've gotten started, we've launched 2 specific tools that allow lawyers to take money into trust and move money from trust to operating in a much more streamlined and easy way that we hope will encourage them to use their trust accounts more, while also making it easier for them, so therefore they can actually realize more of the work that they do. So that's just one of many things that we think can be improved. There are a bunch of others, but we'll talk about those later, as I think they're coming in some subsequent questions.
Yeah, you can talk about anything you want to while we're here. You are the genius behind your offering, and so whatever you have that you want to share with us, we would love to hear about.
Another example is like subscription offerings, right? That's a thing that a lot of lawyers are sort of starting to wade in on, and we've noticed that there's kind of a gap in the market as far as a payments offering that's easy to use, that allows a lawyer to enroll a client in a subscription payment model. And that's another great way. It requires a little bit of a mindset shift, I'm not gonna lie. You've gotta really think about how you practice differently and how you run your business differently. But if you can make that shift, that's a great way not only to kind of smooth out your revenue, but also ensure that you're getting paid for a lot of work that you're doing. So that's another example of an area that we're exploring.
What do you think the biggest lingering need for innovation is in your mind, in the legal industry as a whole?
Yeah, so in our small way, with the small but we think meaningful improvements that we're making, we're running right at that. And I think it's the need for lawyers to think more deeply about not only accounting, but finance and really the economics of the legal sector overall, right? And whether you want to start with being more thoughtful about using your trust account and deploying that to ensure you get paid, or going a step further and thinking about new types of payment models like subscriptions, or something like Auxana, right, where you're potentially paying, matching buyers and sellers and paying kind of a general counsel subscription type model, right? Like that's pretty radical, and that's a new way of delivering and purchasing and kind of engaging for legal services. And then beyond that, this crazy notion of like non-lawyer ownership or non-lawyer involvement in legal services, that's something that's been taboo. And so from the simple and more immediate to the crazier and more complex, I think the legal sector would be very wise to rethink the way that it thinks about accounting and finance and economics in order to sort of grow, scale, and develop new business models that will enable them to deliver legal services to more people in a more compelling way, but also, frankly, get paid for the work that they're doing.
Speaking of quarantine, what are you binging? Are you binge watching? Are you like binge reading, podcasting?
I love a podcast called How Did This Get Made, which is a comedy podcast where these comedians watch really bad movies and then review them. And it is awesome. I love it. It's a really great one too. So anyway, those are I've been heavy on the podcasts, I guess.
I, for one, have needed a couple mental breaks where I'm like, what is the most mindless thing I can watch on TV tonight?
I was hitting How Did This Get Made really heavy in the first few months, because it was just like, I need to like not be bombarded with all of the bad news. So it's hilarious. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing with us today, Dan. We're looking forward to speaking with you on a bigger platform next week. That will be for members and active applicants only, but we'll get to dive a little bit deeper into your technology, get to see some of it, and talk about some really great use cases. So, for
the time, I know I probably blew right past our 6-minute time period. So I've tried to make myself more concise, but the lawyer in me sometimes gets the better of me. So I appreciate the time to chat with you and your audience. And yeah, definitely looking forward both to the webinar and also working more closely with you guys. You've been we're really excited about the Auxana partnership and looking forward to doing awesome things.
Awesome. We're really excited about it too, Dan. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Talk soon.